Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In this video I'd like to look at a potential Holy Grail trade setup that's unfolding on the 6A. The 6A is the future of the Australian dollar against the US dollar, and in particular this particular TS3 buy setup here is what I'd like to look at. So let's go around the constituents or the parts we require for a Holy Grail trade setup. First of all, we require that this major, or this low here, that the market is initially rallying off, is a major low. When I go out to the 15-minute chart, you can see there's nothing apparent on this. However, if I go out to the 60-minute chart, or the hourly chart, you can see that it looks like we've made a double bottom with this low. So if I put a low pivot on here, or a low tag on here, you can see that this low here is coming in at around the same level as this prior low. So we'd define this as an important low. So we go back to the 5-minute chart. Let's take that off. So here we have an important low. The market has then made an initial rally up like this here. In Elliott wave terms, this will be wave 1. We then look for the initial correction, which is down into here, which unfolds as an ABC, which is into our TS3 buy setup. We then define as a wave 2. Now, why is this important? Well, if we put our analysis on here, we then assume that the market will move off this level here in a wave 3 type movement. In other words, we're not looking to come out at the first target here, which is the minimum wave CWPT. We're looking to run the trade into what would be the typical wave 3 WPT, which is up here. And as you can see, that's exactly what the market did. And this is a great example because it shows how that when you get a Holy Grail trade set up, we look to trade to the typical wave 3 WPT and not the first target. So why is this kind of trade setup so good? Well, it's so good because a wave 3 is the strongest and longest wave in any Elliott wave completed 5-wave sequence. So that means that the profit is usually much larger than the initial risk. And here you can see the profit at plus 6.5 R, or 2,600 US dollars, is approximately 6.5 times greater than the initial risk. In other words, we have a small initial risk and a big profit. Note how we use correct position sizing here to define the number of contracts. That keeps our initial risk small. So again, the constituent parts of a Holy Grail trade setup are first and foremost, we have to have a major pivot. Now, as we saw at the beginning of this video, this low here that I'm circling was a double bottom with a prior 60-minute prior pivot. So this was then defines this as being an important low. We then look for the initial move off, then the initial correction. The initial correction is to unfold as an ABC, which is what we had into our TS3 buy setup. This, in Elliott wave terms, we define as a wave 2. Therefore, we're anticipating a strong wave 3 type move off the low. And as such, we then look to the typical wave 3 WPT target, which, as you can see in this example, gave a result of a lovely profit of plus 6.5 R, or plus 6.5 times the initial risk. To show this a little bit more clearly, if I clear the chart off, and now if I go up to the high here and I do Elliott waves major, you can see this is how we have the market unfolding. So there was our there was our initial rally, which is wave 1. Here was our initial correction, wave 2. We then have our wave 3 kind of rally up here. So at this low here, we would be at our wave 2 or B WPT. So this is what the Holy Grail trade setup is all about. It's, if I clear this all off, it's basically a TS3 or it can be TS1 or TS4 automatic trade setup, but it unfolds on the first correction against the first move of an important high or low. We then, when we do the analysis, we then look to the typical wave 3 WPT, and as we've already seen, the result of this was a very good and large profitable trade.